Did you have fear around it? Any kind of resistance? Like, talk about the feelings going into it.
I was not open to this. I just needed more. I needed to feed my soul in some way. And I tried adding more agents, but I realized that didn't fit for me. I realized I couldn't do both. I couldn't serve both clients well. Kind of opened my mind to I'm ready. I am open to a brokerage. I'm open to a company that would align with me. And I think that's why I held on to Lark for so long. The alignment that I feel has been so natural.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to grow. You can't always push upstream.
So, Leslie, you have made a huge, huge shift in your business. Like, it is so new that it hasn't even been announced yet, like the full shift. So I am super excited. This is such a timely, actually, by the time this is aired, you will have made the shift.
Yeah.
So we can talk about it. I want to understand, what made you realize now was the time? How did you get this far? How did you narrow your focus? Like, give us sort of like the background of how this all came about, because it's a big one, and tell us what it is.
Okay, I will. I'm super excited. I have just had my 10-year anniversary of being in real estate, which I have loved serving my clients for all these years. But honestly, 2024 was kind of a year of soul searching. I had some health issues. As much as I loved serving my real estate clients, it wasn't feeding my soul. And I did some different types of coaching with people. We thought about growing the brokerage, but that didn't feel right for me. And literally in October, I woke up at like 3 a.m. and thought, I need to serve women. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but it's always been a passion of mine with different organizations that I volunteered with. And I just knew I needed to serve women. And that's kind of where it started. I went to a vision casting event in November with two amazing people who I just adore. And the different experts that they had kind of started drawing things out of you, like what's standing in your way of being your best self? What is the negative phrases that you tell yourself? Like, what are those roadblocks? And what do you want to do if those were gone? And so digging deeper in there, I came out with a vision and mission statement in January that was broad. And the vision was to empower women to embrace life's changes with confidence and connection. Didn't know where that was going to go. And then to go a little bit deeper, I had my mission as I am dedicated to women and guiding them through new beginnings while fostering a community that inspires and supports their personal growth and empowered decision making. And again, that's what I knew in my heart.
Yes.
But I didn't know where it was going to go. But it's amazing how when you have that out there, things start to unfold organically, authentically, and naturally.
Yeah.
And I started to have more conversations with women who are navigating divorce. And I have gone through my own divorce. It was really challenging. I learned a lot during that time. I do have my RCSD, which is a real estate collaboration specialist in divorce. And that gives you kind of the basics, right? Like if you're going to work with attorneys, how you can help them with their case file, um, pulling title to see if anyone has done any shenanigans, like gotten an extra apartment, something like that. So that's like the logistics of how to be a divorce consultant. But as this started to grow and take off, I started a workshop series with some experts called Divorce Curious, which, by the way, I have secured an attorney. So we're working on trademark. So Divorce Curious will be trademarked. And it has become the front-facing free workshop for women. And it's 3-part series. And the first one is, can I afford to leave? The second is know your rights. And the third is how to survive and thrive after divorce.
Wow.
And as I've positioned this out there, I am receiving so many interested women who want more information. They're craving more information. And I can go into that more. I have some collateral and things like that. But the big shift that happened was I realized, oh my gosh, this is taking off. How am I going to grow this business and keep growing and nurturing my real estate business? And so what I decided is after 8 years of owning my own independent brokerage, I decided to close it. And so that has been transpiring over the last week or two, which was also the stars completely aligned. I mean, the universe has told me right from the beginning, this is the right thing to do. there's some different things that happened that just gave me those messages. But I closed my brokerage. I am now with Mile High Modern, and they are a top luxury brand, also independent brokerage, but they have about 200 agents here in the Denver and Boulder area. And I could not be more thrilled because all of their support and their marketing just really helps my clients to the next level. And now I can also work on my divorce coaching business. So,
Oh my God. First of all, congratulations. This is a big, big deal. In fact, we were talking in the green room. I didn't know about this. I knew about the shift to serving women. I didn't know about the shift to transition from your own personal brokerage to this new independent brokerage, Mile High Modern.
Mile High Modern, and it's
Okay.
Mile I Modern. Yeah.
Oh, Mile High Modern. Okay. Big shout out to them because they clearly did an amazing thing for their business by hiring you on. So huge. I mean, and this kind of change, this is big, big change. I mean, changing your brokerage alone is a large change. And I understand that this has kind of been brewing since 2004. However, it's still a really big deal. What did it feel like to sort of step into this new focus? And did you have like, it gives me like goosebumps. Like, did you have fear around it? Like any kind of resistance? Like, talk about the feelings going into it.
Yeah, I was not open to this at all. And I think that in 2024, as I just needed more, I needed to feed my soul in some way. And I tried adding more agents, but I realized that didn't fit for me. I needed something that was in alignment. And alignment was the word that I was using. And honestly, it kind of came together in that way. As I was realizing how busy the divorce curious package and business offering was going to be, I realized I couldn't do both. I couldn't serve both clients well. And I kind of opened my mind to I'm ready. I am open to a brokerage. I'm open to a company that would align with me. And I think that's why I held on to Lark for so long, because I felt like I had a specific professional image that I wanted to put out there and adhere to, and high expectations for myself. And so Mile High Modern was really the only brokerage that I would consider, because they're still independent, but their level of marketing and professionalism is just bar none. They are exceptional. And so I went in for like 1 hour meeting. It turned into a 5 hour conversation. And I had, honestly, that's how it worked out. I had sellers that were under contract, but the buyers terminated that day. And I had buyers who were under contract and they terminated the next day. And then the one agent who I had on board with me called and said, after we sell his 2 investment properties, he's moving back home. And I thought, holy cow.
The universe is sending you some very, very obvious messages for sure.
So there's a little trepidation, learning new processes and learning people. But there's 200 agents there, and I just can't wait to bond with them and learn from them. And again, like the alignment that I feel has been so natural.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to grow. You can't always push upstream.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Challenge here and there.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Upstream. Oh, sorry. But pushing upstream all the time is not in alignment, and it's not going to work. Things should be in flow. And this is 1,000% in flow.
Oh my God. So well said. I actually left Deborah Trapin's Red Threads Collective meeting just before this. I left it a little bit early, and Molly McKinley was actually talking very, very clearly about this exact same thing. Like when you know your values, and when you can articulate what your North Star is, then you become in alignment, with who you are and where you're going and what you're best at, and I feel like you have always been, I mean, since I've known you, which is, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, you've always had sort of a passion or a calling. I think a calling is a better word, to serve women. Which I think is really so beautiful. So now you've sort of got like two things happening. You have this divorce curious coaching business, and you still have your real estate business. So how do they intertwine, or how do they integrate? How do they feed each other?
Yeah. Well, I think that it kind of has been working perfectly. And as I get out there and start talking with people, and it's kind of having your messaging dialed in when you figure out what your niche is going to be, right? I still work on referral. So if I meet people, I say I work on referral up and down the front range, but I really help women navigate divorce and home ownership as they start their new chapter. And so when you say that to someone, it already starts their brain thinking, oh, women and divorce, who do I know? And all of a sudden
Yes.
I connect you. And so what has happened is I've kind of built a package around that for the women that I'm working with. And it's hard. And we can talk about both, if you're selling the marital home and when you're buying a new home. But when we're starting that new chapter of buying a home, I walk along them every bit of the way. And some of these women have come to me who are not confident. Their partner has made most of the decisions. They're not sure who they are. And so we work on that together, which is kind of where I noticed, this coaching aspect that I have. And I lived through that. After my first marriage, I literally just took 2 years to like refigure out who I was. And it was taking different classes and reading books and self-help and things like that, and spending time getting to know me. And so I understand that when women are trying to go through that process. But once we find their home, and I tell them to trust their instinct because they haven't for such a long period of
Mm.
time.
Mm.
There's kind of an experience around that. So I provide 2 hours of handyman services to take care of some of the inspection items. I get the house professionally cleaned for them. I send in an interior designer to give them an hour of collaboration and inspiration on what their house can look like. I also give them an hour of services with a financial planner because a lot of these women are starting fresh and don't know
Wow.
their finances, and we want to set them up for success. And then finally, I actually set up an hour consultation with them with a like fashionista. So a woman who comes in and they talk about their clothing and fashion and styling and a stylist and things like that, so that they are kind of just set up for success in their new chapter.
My God, that's so incredible, Leslie. Like, it's it's really moving. I mean, people don't understand that when they're hiring you to help them decouple, right?
Yeah.
That you're actually helping her set up for success, which you had to kind of find on your own. And from your own life experience, your own business experience, you're able to lend such a helping hand. I think it's beautiful. Um, let's talk about these women. Like, what are some of the specific, you sort of touched on it, but what are some of the specific challenges that they are having? And, and how are you helping support that? You kind
Yeah.
of just touched on it, but like, can you go into it a little deeper?
It's kind of a multi-pronged approach from different areas. So if it depends on where I meet them in the process. And so if it's in the beginning and we're selling the marital home, for example, I'm still in it with them. And, it is going to the home. It's maybe doing a packing party. Let's call the girlfriends and let's get pizza and champagne and bubbles. I just did a party called Bubbles and Boxes, and we had friends come and we help them pack up. But it's also saying goodbye, right? You're ending this life that you thought you were going to have and what you've created, and it's a grieving period. And so one thing I suggest is that as they go room by room, maybe they take a photo or they sit in it and they journal and they kind of say goodbye and just kind of have this closing experience with the home. And then, yes, as we move into the home shopping experience, we make it fun. I have been known to hire a car service and schedule home showings, schedule a lunch, and then do more home showings so that we can just kind of chat and get to know one another. And then my real estate expertise comes in with, yes, for example, that home looks amazing. It was a great flip. But let's look at some of the things that maybe aren't done as well as they should be. And so, and how big do you want? Do you want a townhome where maybe it's more of a lock and leave because you don't want to have to deal with a yard? Or have you always wanted just a small home with a little garden in your backyard so that you
Yeah.
can, have vegetables and flowers or whatever it is that you want? So we go through that process and I just kind of guide them through with my real estate experience too.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. What like white glove service. You walk alongside them and they have to feel seen, held, cared for, taken care of. They have to feel that way. Is that the feedback that you get?
Yes, I do get that. And, with one client in particular, it was all a new experience. And she kind of was in that same spot where, she didn't trust herself. So there was a lot of doubt
Yeah.
there, but she didn't want anyone else. So there were relatives, there were sisters, there was mom, there were friends, all these other people who wanted to come along. They were so excited for her new journey. But she said, "Is it okay if it's just you and I?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Because so much information coming into this process. But then you're confused and then you're not listening to your heart and you have to
Yes. Yes, it's the noise. It's no
know it.
different than the digital noise. Like when everybody's in your ear, you can't tune into what your gut is telling you. So that's so
Well,
important.
and I don't know about you, but I'm still a recovering people pleaser. And so certainly coming out of a
Yes.
divorce situation, no, you're coming out of a divorce. You've already been pleasing the children and the partner and the family, and you waited so long to maybe get the divorce because you didn't want to disappoint. And now you're going to get your first home and start over. You don't want to please anyone. You just want to be
Yeah.
selfish and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's really important and discovering your new independence and your growth.
Yes. Yes. It's not selfish, it's self-care.
It is self-care. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift a little bit. I want to understand. I know you put a whole plan around this. How have you changed your messaging, your marketing? Like what kinds of things are you doing differently or how are you tweaking how you're putting yourself out there and sort of amplifying this new focus?
Yeah, thank you. Part of it was joining Mile High Modern. I knew that I needed to be able to support my clients, real estate clients, in the most professional way possible. And then I do see my dog in the background. Hopefully that's okay.
I love it.
At least they're not barking. And then secondly, it is building out this divorce curious business. So I have a front facing the workshops and website which are called Divorce Curious, and then as people want to go through coaching, because I am going through the process of becoming a certified divorce coach, and I will have that certification in August. That is called Discover Your Path Forward, where we'll go deeper with that. But I do have a couple of pieces of collateral.
Nice.
This is the complete guide. And so this is divorce planning. And so it's kind of a journal type, I don't know if you can see it, exercise of thinking about things like fulfillment and the relationship and what your future vision is going to be. And then the next page allows space for journaling. And then the other one is just real simple 10 steps to prepare for divorce. Now, I want to be really clear. I do not advocate for divorce. What I advocate for is collecting your information, talking with the different experts that I can provide, and then making the empowered decision that works best for you. And if that means you find a way to stay together, gosh, that's, the best if that is what works for you. If you decided that it's not what works best for you, here are the tools on doing that. So I'm really focusing on just engaging more in different women's groups, working with different financial planners and getting out and just kind of giving my workshop spiel. And then also we're just combining that with real estate because somewhere in there, there'll be a sale or a home purchase.
Absolutely. And are you showing up on social media differently?
I think that I haven't totally kind of launched that yet, but I've thought a lot about it. And I do think it needs to come from like an authentic place of me sharing my story. And so honestly, Kristen, I've been thinking about how I'm going to roll that out maybe in the next week or so of just sharing a little bit about my own experience.
Yeah.
Uh, just so that other women can know they're not alone. And I think from the
Yes.
workshops that I've done so far, that's been the best part, is that women
Yeah.
have a confidential, safe space to come together and talk and know that they're not alone, because you spend so much time in your head wondering if it's the right thing. How do I get through this? What's the asset part? What are my legal rights? It's so much. And if you can come and chat with people safely and confidentially, it's a great community.
I totally hear you on sharing your story. I think that's the best way people come to relate to you and trust you. Um, just total sidebar. Are you still doing your podcast?
We took a small break just because my podcast partner co-host's life has changed a little bit. And so we were taking a break to kind of revisit. So if we don't end up doing it together, I do own all the rights to that. And so I will probably start it again and just bring on different guests. It still will be called Bring Something to the Table, because I think that phrase is so powerful.
Beautiful name.
And it
Yeah.
really is just how to up level your life spiritually, physically, mentally,
Yeah.
divorce, and how you come back out. So I think that I'll keep it going in some aspect.
When you talk about, or when I think about, owned marketing or owned media, and I talk about social media, and you're saying, um, telling my story is one of the ways you want to start putting yourself out there. You're doing it through your podcast. I mean, you're such a natural at it. I think, and then if you bring on different guests, man, that would be super impactful, Leslie.
I did actually get a listing she was kind of referred to me, but then also, a stranger, I would like to call her. And they chose me because she dug deep and saw that I did have a podcast and liked the fact that I was relatable and, her words, relatable and authentic, and had other things going on other than
Yeah.
just posting for sale and,
Just listed, just
listed,
sold.
just sold.
Yeah.
Please
Um,
stop doing that.
I know, I know. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. So I want to shift a little bit to you, and I want to understand, like, what have you learned about yourself in this entire process?
Oh, that is a good question. I've learned that, in some ways, like, my story is not that unique. There's a lot of similarities that a lot of women go through. I have learned that you will get through that storm and you will get to the other side. You can't see it. You can't see it in the moment. And you feel like you're just drowning every day. And some days it's hard to get out of bed. But you're stronger than you think. And having the right team of people around you and supporting you in your community will help you get to the other side. And I really have just learned, it's taken a long time, but to trust my gut. And trusting my intuition and trusting myself. Because again, it goes back to the alignment. And when things feel off, I in particular feel it. I feel it in my body. And
Yes.
I need to make sure that things stay in alignment to preserve my health and for me to be my best self for me, for my family, and for my clients.
Beautiful. So for any agent who's listening and wants to get clear themselves, wants to become aligned, wants to focus on attracting the customer that will be in alignment with them, what what are one of the first two or three steps you would recommend?
I think it has to be authentic. It has to be your lived experience. And maybe it really is, your passion with first-time home buyers, or maybe it is with downsizing. It could be with, ranch style homes, or whatever it is that speaks to you. Sit with it and feel it. But you need to turn off the noise. We were talking about that a little bit. There's so much noise. So I would even suggest maybe going on a walk or a hike and just listening to your intuition of what speaks to you. And if you want to change it, then, maybe you realize that downsizing and working with downsizers is just too much, but you have to have the right team around you to be the best, real estate professional for your clients. But sit with it, listen, and then don't be afraid to niche down. Your people will find you. You don't
Yeah,
have to be everything to everybody. That is, oh, it's chaos trying to do
it,
it.
it totally is. And then you end up disappointing yourself and everybody else.
Uh,
And that leads to burnout,
right.
you know? What's one thing agents should stop doing if they're trying to refocus and niche down?
Uh, I think that find it and sit with it for a little while, right? Make sure it speaks to you. It has to be authentic. It has to be organic because people will see that if you're just regurgitating words, but they're not coming from your heart and you're not lit up when you talk about it, people will see that. So, but also you have to give it a little bit of time. You can't just try something for 30 days and then be like, oh, it doesn't work. I have to go on to something else.
Well, I
You-
think that, your lived experience speaks to that. I mean, you spent the last like 3 years trying to figure out like exactly where
yeah.
you were going to go. And I commend you for it because you tried different things. You didn't stay stuck. You actually tried different things before, and all those things inform your
Yes.
ultimate decision.
Yes. And when I first started 10 years ago, just based on my life circumstances, I was going to work with seniors and downsizing. So I got that certification. But then suddenly I started getting so many first time home buyers. So that pendulum swung a different way. And then it was just kind of working within my sphere, but I wasn't an expert at like any of the things. I had all of my different designations for a accredited buyer's agent, a seller's agent, and things like that. But I was still everything to everybody.
Yeah.
And it really was last year. Like you said, still doing so many things leads to burnout.
Yeah.
And feeling burned out, my health wasn't great. And I just wanted to dive deep. And for me, it's women, it's working with
Yeah.
women.
That's awesome. So as we start to wrap up here, what are 3 things you would want to leave our community with?
Oh, um, I think it is, you know, being true to yourself and listening to your intuition and not being all things to all people in the real estate market and not being afraid to say no. I think that sometimes we want to take on the extra business because we're living in fear or we want that next paycheck. But if you're not in alignment with that client, it is not worth it. Then that is what I know. When I have really been able to say, you know what, I don't think we're a good fit. And then, gosh darn it, like a week later, the perfect client comes in. It really does. You spend so much time and energy focused on something that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Or like, again, alignment. Like it's just harmony was my word for this year, which I've never really had so much a word for the year. But living in harmony with my business and who I am is so fulfilling in so many ways. So I think that in real estate, there's so many agents. It's really tough right now. So I
Yeah.
think having a good community, working with a brokerage where you're getting support and living what's true to you,
Yeah.
and supporting your clients in that way, in that niche or whatever, will be fulfilling.
Yeah. Awesome. Leslie, finish the sentence. No like trust is.
No, like trust is. Um, that's a tough one. Um, no, like trust is, I feel it's like a warm blanket in a way. It's kind of a phrase.
I
Or
love that.
it's this warm blanket of comfort when you're working with someone who you know, like, and trust. It's comfortable, it's easy, it's in flow. Um, it's hard to get there, but it's also when you know those people, when you find your people, it makes a big difference.
Totally. Oh my God. I think that is the best answer to that question we've ever gotten. I love it.
Most unique, probably.
Where can people find you?
On Instagram, I am at Leslie Loves Denver.
I love that. And are you on LinkedIn too? And how about your website? Is that going to change?
Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
I'm using Lark completely. It's
Yeah.
so which is okay. Again, I feel really good with that. I don't yet have a personal website. Divorcecurious.icu. Can you believe I have that extension?
Love it.
Right. So divorcecurious.icu. And then my the business brokerage is it's Mile High Modern, and it's milehimodern.com.
Awesome.
I am on LinkedIn. I think it's under Leslie Beck. It's still under Luck Realty, so I'll have to.
Okay. I bet you that'll be all fixed by the time we publish this episode.
That is true.
Oh, Leslie, thank you so much for being here. It's been such an honor and a privilege, and I just wish you the best of luck. I think you're amazing. And if any of you are out there listening, make sure you're following Leslie. She's amazing on social media. Leslie Loves Denver. And for all of you who are here and listening, we so appreciate you being here. We so appreciate you watching. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe so you get notified when we publish new episodes. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, share it with your friends. We would so appreciate that. And give us a 5-star review. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.